there's the right hand he would throw, like with no backlift, no wind up, and it number one puncher of all time according to Ring magazine. Is that similar to the way Thomas Hearn's chopping right hand? I mean, is it quite similar?
No, so it's funny because if you look at what he does and what he says to do are two complete different things. And it's kind of like and I'll use baseball as an analogy just because my kid is obsessed with hitting right now. And so like there's so much crossover between like boxing and baseball because everybody's like, oh, you need a strong upper body. No, man, like if you don't have timing and you don't have good eyesight, you're not going to hit a ball. All right. But everything comes from the ground up, just like a punch. Everything comes from the ground up. And if you look at Lewis, I think in his book, he writes on it. He's like, the way that you learn how to punch is you need to think like you're putting everything behind you. And if your back foot comes off the ground, your back foot's going to come off the ground. And that's him describing how to punch. And that's like asking a professional baseball player to describe to a person how to hit a baseball. Well, you got to get on top of the ball. You got to put your weight through the ball. And it's like, but when you see them do it, it's not what they're actually doing. And then when Lewis explains it in his book, he said, you got to put all your weight behind it. You got to do it in such a way that your back foot will come off the ground or your hip will move forward with you. But when you watch him do it, it doesn't do that. It's just, I think it's like a cue to help you learn how to develop to do it. And then eventually when you keep that foot planted, it's like an over-exaggeration. Like when you learn how to box, there's a lot of stuff you over-exaggerate as a young kid.
The left hook, turn the foot, you mean something like that?
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually you will turn the left foot, you won't turn the left foot, but that's like a cue that you can teach somebody that struggles to turn over a punch. And then once they learn those mechanics and they learn how it feels right, then it's the same thing. It's like, well, this is how I learned. This is how you should learn. So how
would Kronk teach that right hand? You step in.
I can't tell you that
with the right hand, or you twist the back foot with the right hand.
I've signed a non-disclosure agreement. I can't talk about
it. because I remember speaking to Billy Briscoe, and he mentioned you have to move your feet when you throw the right hand, otherwise your left hook's not going to land.
Yeah.
And then other people say you twist your back foot. And you look at the old school boxers like Lewis. He almost was stepping in, throwing that right hand. So
So I think it's an approach of looking at it from both perspectives. Like there's no one perfect way, and that's what I kind of dislike about how social media and some coaches try to say that because it worked for this guy, it's going to work for you. That's just not how it works. Like, I mean, we could talk about, do you pivot? Do you not pivot your foot? Do you turn your foot over? Or, do you want to throw your hook like this? Do you want to throw your hook like this? So from when I was at Kronk, depending on the coach, whether it was Floyd Logan, Walt Smith, or Luther, or Bill Miller, or even Emmanuel Stewart, it was dependent upon what the fighter knew. There you go. So if it's somebody coming off the street, you're going to have to teach them how to turn their hips. You're going to have to teach them how to move that foot forward just a little bit. And it's not an exaggerated where your foot's going to go, from here and you're going to move all the way here. It's just to get you to the feeling perspective of, hey, when you throw, your foot's going to move slightly. And then eventually the foot may move, it may not move, but it all depends. If I just want to crack you with the right hand and you're coming into me, maybe my foot doesn't need to move forward because as you're coming into me, I'm just going to use your momentum against me. And then I can turn the hook over as you come into me. In comes the short. That's the short hook that is famous because of Kronk, like the short right hook, whatever, where you just turn over as fast as you can because you want to time somebody coming in, or if you're close in, because there's no way that you can throw a long hook, a long straight right hand without moving your foot forward catching a guy that's moving backwards and then catch him with a short hook. It's not going to work. So it's a very gray area.